All right. Good morning, afternoon, evening, night, depending on where you find yourself in the globe. This is Kingdom Economic Forum in partnership with the New African Concept. Once again, we are so glad to come your way. We want you to share the link, invite a friend to invite a friend. And this is what we want to recommend you. Please don't be listening to it alone. Try. Once you are on, share, invite a friend. Let them come. Let's share values and ideas together to move forward in this life. With me in the studio, as always, is Reverend Dr. Joshua Ponsafo. Doc, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
I hope everything is well.
Very, very well.
We thank God. We've said that in the next 3 months, we're going to discuss the philosophy of nation building. And today happens to be the first episode of that series we're going to have. And this month, we want to look at the foundation, the bedrock of a nation. We want to look at it the next 4 weeks, discussing the overarching theme is the philosophy of nation building. But this month, we are looking at foundations, the bedrock of a nation. Because without foundation, no nation can exist. So within today, we're going to look at beyond borders. What is a nation in the 21st century? When we talk of a nation, what is that definition in the 21st century? Look, I want us within this topic try to deconstruct the concept of a nation state. And the question is it a shared story, a social contract, an administrative unit, or a cultural project? And try as much as possible to also contrast Western models with African pre-colonial and post-colonial realities when it comes to nation. The bigger question is, are we building nations or state nations? So I want us to look at from this perspective, beyond the borders, what is a nation in the 21st century, looking at all the factors I have mentioned. So,
okay. So once again, we are very grateful for the opportunity, and then welcome once again to the Kingdom Economic Forum. So we with the subject, I believe that is very, very important, and we are praying that God will grant us grace to be able to expound it well. So we'll set off with basic definitions, and then we contrast them. Then we look at the other blocks. So maybe we can break it in maybe 2 or 3 major blocks. So we have 2 things here: the nation and then state. And we'll be using Ghana as a case study because of our context. So I think even nation we've explored it sometime. I think somewhere last year.
Yeah, we did.
So on the subject of nation, it is basically a group of people that are bound together on a particular element. We could be a common culture. It could be a common language. It could be a common history, or something that binds them together on that ground. So in defining nations, one of the things that separate nations from, let's say, state or country is that for a nation, it may not be so much of a territory. That is why in the 21st century, with riding on technology, it's possible to have a nation, a virtual nation. That is having a group of people who are connected together, having a common vision, or there is a binding element, either tribal, either ethnic, either religious, that binding element. Even if they don't possess a territory, it is still a nation. Then when we come to a state, the state then has the characteristic of a government, and then also that of the territory. So there must be a standard territory, and then that comes with things like a national anthem, coat of arms, and others like that. And then, so the state is more of a political entity, whereas the nation could be cultural, it could be religious, it could be historical, but a group of people bound together on a common theme or a common ground. Whilst this one, that of the state, also is a political entity with a legal framework, and then with a national kind of set of identities, and then also that of what we call a territory.
So we've been able to explain the difference between a nation and a state. Dog is telling us that a nation is a group of people with a shared identity, culture, language, history, ethnicity, and religion, which means that a nation is a sense of belonging.
Sense of belonging.
Psychologically.
Yes.
It's a sense of belonging, cultural bounds. And then state, per your definition, is a political legal entity with sovereignty over a defined territory and population with a government and institution. So political legal authority over territory, government, sovereignty, and recognition is based on territory, government, sovereignty, and recognition. So for example, a state is like Ghana is a state.
Ghana is a state.
Nigeria, France, and the like. But a nation,
it has a defined
territory, that's a
government.
Yeah.
Yes.
But a nation could be Yoruba, and it could be maybe in Ghana here. A nation could be Asante. Asante is a nation.
It could be, yes, it could be a nation.
A nation where it's a nation, that kind of thing.
Yes.
Okay, I get it. So therefore, if I get to well, the key distinction is that a nation might not have a territory.
Yes.
But the state must have a territory.
A defined
territory. So nation doesn't have a territory.
So the nation is not. Yes, it's more of may and then not that.
Okay.
So it is possible. So I think it connects to one of the other questions. I think is it the last one? Are we building
a nation or a state?
Or a state.
A state nation.
Okay. So let's connect that.
Okay.
Yeah. So now we take Ghana as a case study.
Okay.
If it is possible to have a nation.
Yeah.
If you have, for instance, let's take the Asante Kingdom. If the Asante Kingdom decided to detach themselves
from Ghana
and then form its own state or something of that sort.
Yeah.
Now, what will happen is that there is both a nation and a state.
I get it. Perfect.
So it is possible to have particular
nation,
state or country that is made up of one kind of tribe. Okay. That came together to form that particular thing. So in that case, you have a state and at the same time a nation. Now, in the case of Ghana, Ghana is a state.
It's a state.
Because we have a defined territory. We have our borders and all that. We have government. And then, as we said, it is a political, legal. So we have our legal backbone, which we normally call the constitution. And then we also have
population, permanent population.
The population, and then the institutions that also run it. And then the government as well.
And it's also sovereignty. The capacity to enter into relations with other states. Ghana has that one.
So we have that one. We are recognized. That is when you do the public international law. We are recognized as a state. Now, beyond this, because Ghana is not one tribe. It's not one religion. It's not one. There is no single thing which defines us together. All together. So what then has to happen is that, but nationhood is also necessary.
Good.
So if you ask me that question, I'll say that currently we have a state,
but we don't have
not a nation.
Yeah, identity.
But what ought to be is that it must be a nation state or a state nation.
Yeah.
So we must build both.
Yeah.
Why is the nation needed? The nation, that is where it is from nation that we have national identity.
Yeah.
So as a nation or as Ghana, as a state, what we ought to do is, because we have different tribes, different religions, different professional bodies, different this and our first and foremost thing is we must piece ourselves together and agree on a template
where we are going.
That this is our set of binding elements
to make you,
which gives us the so now it places us although we were a one tribe.
Yeah, I get a point.
So in this case, though we have different tribes, we then agree that okay, as Ghana, this is our identity, which falls back to the values we've been talking about over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Do we have them? Yes, we have them. They are locked up in our national identities, which I think we've also explored that. The national anthems, the coat of arms, the national pledge, and our patriotic songs. The only thing is that we have not translated them into functional machineries.
Right.
So we need, Ghana must be operated or must be seen from that light. Because without nationhood, there is no sense of identity.
Yeah.
There is no sense of belonging. Patriotism is a function of nationhood.
Yeah.
Statehood does not automatically guarantee patriotism.
Okay.
It is, as for statehood, it is the operations. But if you want people to love their nation, if you want people to, in quote, die for their state or their nation, then nationhood must be implicated in the matter.
Wow. Wow. So from this, we are saying that state must have defined territory, must have permanent population, must have government, and the capacity, sovereignty capacity.
Yes.
But nation needs none of these. It needs shared identity.
Shared identity.
Nationhood is about shared identity. So the next question that you were raising, the overlap, the nation state. A nation state exists when a single nation largely coincides with a single state. We said it's in a purer sense, it's difficult to get to that. But there are some, this example, when you go to Japan, Iceland, and Portugal, they have that nation state. In reality, most states today are multinational and multi-ethnic.
Yes.
But when you go to Japan, so that Japan technically they speak one language.
Yes.
And that is why it's easy for them
to integrate
as a nation.
Yes. So we have it in two ways.
Okay.
One is when it operates in the purest sense.
Yeah.
And the other is when it operates in the generic sense.
Sure.
In the purest sense, so the Japan is a typical example in the purest sense, it is largely, let's say, one tribe.
Yeah.
So there is a common language that binds them.
Yeah.
So it is easier to have that. There's that shared identity through that language.
Yeah, right.
Now, we don't necessarily. So when you come to Ghana, we don't have it that way.
Yeah, we don't.
We are more. It is more multinational.
Yeah.
However, it is still possible to operate in a generic sense where we agree that, okay, there are differentials, but we see our differences to augment each other. So that when you come to Ghana, we can operate as though we are all one. Because once you make mention of nation, we are talking of shared values. It is not only language.
No.
It could be history. It could be culture. What is culture? The way of life of a group of people.
Sure.
So we can decide, and that is why Ghana, what should have been, I think we've been raising this over and over again, that during the independence, one of the foremost things that should have been the focus of the leadership was building what we call national integration and then national orientation. So as a nation, we need a set of values. Like you go to a company or an industry, you go to the reception, mostly you find it over there on the wall. Mission statement, vision statement, and then core values. So as a nation, we need to extract our values from our songs and those things, and then maybe have them, maybe 5 or 10. It should be clear, and everyone should understand that, okay, respect, this patriotism, these values is what defines us as Ghana. Now, when we do that, it overrides the
tribal differences.
So in this case, we are still a state, a nation. Though it is not in the purest sense like that of Japan
and Iceland.
And Iceland, because theirs is, tribal, on the tribal level.
And the language.
And the linguistic level. But in this case, we've been able to override our differences. And then we've come together that this is our single trajectory.
With this understanding, then it means that in African contexts, the colonial borders split nations across states. And that is the major problem. Because, for example, if you go, we have the Maasai in Kenya and in Tanzania. So, and that has created, I think, a lot of tension.
Even in Ghana,
Togo.
The yes.
And then even Ashanti Kingdom, some of them are in Cote d'Ivoire. Togo and some part of the. So, if you are listening to us, sometimes we hear some words and it's like if you don't do government in the secondary school, you won't be able to understand some of these terms.
Exactly.
And that's what we are bringing to us for us to understand that there's a difference between a state and a nation. And for us to be able to develop, we should try as much as possible to bridge the gap where the state will be there, but we should move to where we can bring the nationhood within the state.
Very good.
That will help us to be, the reason why you don't love Ghana is that you have not been taught. You think that when we say Ghana is somewhere, Ghana, baby, but or if you don't like your nation, is that you have not been taught. So we are using this channel to let you know that we first of all have to understand that Ghana is a state having a lot of nations within the state. But for us to, out of this diversity, the state must grow to have some values that combine all the individual nations within the state. Then that we would have what we call state nation. But I have something here. Say that.
Okay.
Are we building nations that's forging shared identity, or state nations using the state power to create a nation? Having discussed this, that's the question.
Yeah.
Are we building nations forging shared identity, or state nations using state power to create nation? That's a question that is coming up. I don't know whether you... And then we move to the practical implication. It's important what we have discussed. What is in this sense, in the practical implication, I want us to look at if you strengthen the state, what can be done to strengthen it? If you strengthen the nation, those are the things I want us to look at so that we can conclude on today's discussion. So the question is, the lead question: are we building nations, forging shared identity, or state nations using state power to create a nation? Which is which?
Yes. So I will say both.
Both. Okay.
And okay, are we building in terms of what we ought to do?
Yeah.
Because I don't see, from where I said, using Ghana
is not possible.
I'm not seeing the nationhood.
There. Okay.
Yes, the nationhood aspect. there is a bit. Our efforts are much more on the statehood.
Yeah.
In terms of what the statehood then will deal with.
The democracy,
in terms of the government the democracy, the operations, and then all that. Yes. And but what will help, as I said, there is the in the purest sense and in the generic sense.
Sure.
Now, in the generic sense, it is possible to have or maintain our differences and then yes still commit to having, that is why we call it national anthem and not state anthem.
No state anthem, okay.
The idea is that even within the state, the binding element, because this song is to be sung not by Ashantis alone.
No, everybody.
This anthem, and I'm talking of the anthem. It is to be sung by every so let's say sub-state or sub-nations, or the various nations. So the national anthem is a binding element or a shared element across board.
Good.
And that is what nationalism is about. So what we need as a people is that for the state, once you make mention of Ghana, it means that it is a state. We have defined territories, we have this. So the usage of power, that is the state, to drive nationalism.
That's what we need.
That is what we need.
Wonderful.
Because the various factions will be looking up to the state as a common authority.
Yeah.
So the common authority must use the power available to now drive a common grounds of identity.
I get it.
So if we say that we are going in for this particular, let's say the choice of our national anthem, the choice of our national flag. Now you see that it was the state that determined the national flag,
and
the national anthem, and then the coat of arms.
Sure.
That is the usage of state power to
create
or to create nation.
I get it. So what it means is that now our focus is to use the state power to create nations.
To create nation.
And if we have, if you strengthen the state, it means that you have better administration, rule of law, and security. But when you strengthen the nation, you have stronger social cohesion.
Yes.
Shared purpose, and cultural pride. So from what you are saying, I have from the philosophical angle, state is a political project.
Yes.
Nation is a cultural or emerging community.
Yeah.
Nation building often means using state tools like schools, military, media to create a sense of nation.
Powerful.
That's all.
It summarizes everything.
It summarizes all that we have said.
Summarizes everything.
So we are saying that Ghana is a state nation. But at the moment, we are more of a state than a nation. So we need to graduate from being a state. We should use the state power to create the sense of national nationhood.
Nationhood.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if you go to our last year's episode, we've tried to why nation exists. We've given you several nationhood tools.
Yeah.
The national anthem, the pledge, the coat of arms, that we have to use the state's power to inculcate into the individual nations within the state of Ghana. Then we can say Ghana is a state nation. And trust me, until we reach that one, our development, it will take a bit of time for us to achieve the desired development we want to achieve. But we believe, we see a new tomorrow. And that is why we have come your way today, trying to let you know the difference. This is the foundation. If you understand this foundation, as far as our anchor subject, the philosophy of nation building is concerned, this is the foundation this is the bedrock of nation. if you want to build a nation using the state's power, we need to understand the difference between the state and nation. I think you have understood it. I'm even excited, learning so much from what has been shared today. But before we move, we conclude, maybe there's a summary here that I want to project. I'm going to list about some aspects and what we expect the nation and the state to do. One is the basis. Under nation, the foundation is that the nation, we should have an identity, culture, and with that we should have a solidarity. You get it? Solidarity. But when it comes to state, you should have territory, sovereignty, institutions. That's the basic foundation. Yeah. When it comes to existence, a nation is more of psychological and social.
That's right.
But state is legal and political. And the question in the summary is that can nation exist without, or can any of them exist without the other? Fine, nation can be there, yes. You know, nation is stateless. We can have a stateless nation. It's in the mind.
Yeah.
And two, state can be there without being a nation. Because we have multinational states.
Yes.
And that is the typical situation we have in Ghana. We have a state, but we don't have a nation. Okay.
And each one has its pros and cons.
Each one has its own, yes. That's the point. But then the best is bringing the two, the synergy.
Yes.
Is the best. That's the best. That's the best one. We are concluding that this episode 1 and philosophy of nation building. Today, this month, we are looking at the foundation. We are saying that many African challenges stem from the mismatch between colonial era states and pre-colonial nations, requiring both state effectiveness and inclusive nation building. So if we're able to use the state power to create the awareness of nationhood, then we'll be able to achieve the development we are looking for. The best idea is to have a state nation. And we have given example like Japan, Iceland have been able to do it in the purest form. But Ghana, and most importantly in Africa, we are yet to arrive at having a state nation.
Exactly.
And that is a lot of work for us to do. We believe that in the coming weeks, we will touch on certain things that can help us to bridge the gap. That if you say you are a Ghanaian, you'll be able. The reason why you are not patriotic is that physically you are Ghanaian, but in the mind you are something else. In the mind you are too Ashanti person than a Ghanaian, or in your mind you are too a Muslim than a Ghanaian. So when even these extremists are coming, you pave way for them to come because you are religiously biased than being a Ghanaian. You get a point? And then you pave way to create war. Some of you, since your party went on opposition, you prayed that you wish that Ghana ejaculatum. That's the wrong mindset of it's like the reserve goalkeeper. It's no good. We are building a state nation. Let us begin to love our dear nation, Ghana, and trust me, we will be able to achieve a lot. On this note, we want to thank you. We want you to share the link with friends. This has been Kingdom Economic Forum. The app is around. Go down there and download YouthWise app. YouthWise app. Download the app and then your life will be so much beautiful. Until we come your way, Doc. Thank you. Bye-bye.